You think charisma is something you're born with, but in fact it's just a skill that you can learn yourself. This is what every single YouTube video on charisma is gonna tell you. I disagree. You were born charismatic. Back when you were a little child, a baby, you used to be so loud, so expressive, so passionate. Everyone around you believed you are the most charismatic person in the room. Everyone was attracted by you. Your parents, their friends meeting you, they were all mesmerized and they were pulled towards you like a magnet. You were literally the most charismatic person in the room. You were born like that. You probably can't even remember the time when you used to be like this because, now you are afraid of judgments and rejections. But then you just allowed yourself to feel and to flow. And it was perfect. So you see, charisma is not something that's it's not a genetic advantage and it's not a skill issue either. I don't want you to have this mentality anymore that you need to learn more about charisma, that you need to study, that you need to add something to you because you're not good enough. You don't need to add anything. You need to remove the layers of insecurities and of fears that are hiding the charisma because it's already in there, it's already in you. This blows my mind that people just search it on the outside for years and years and years. They waste so much time just following this shallow advice we can see online of implementing certain tips and tricks and social skills and stuff like this. When in fact, all you need is to unleash it. But no, people just want to learn more, just want to implement and add more and more and more. Do you think the charismatic people as adults, like the charismatic adults, do you think they know anything about charisma? Do you think they studied it? They have no idea. I'm sure you have at least one friend like that. If you were to just go to them and tell them some tips and tricks about charisma, they would be looking at you as if you are speaking a foreign language. They know nothing about that. So it's not about learning more, it's about removing and unlearning. Now the charismatic adults, they were lucky enough to also handle their early judgments and rejections properly. We were all rejected. Our authentic tendencies were rejected by some. All of us went through this, but these guys, they just managed to go through it properly and continue to show their authentic selves. And from that, everything snowballed into a charismatic personality. And they developed a certain social intuition and great social habits that get more and more validation because they just understand the social dynamics intuitively much better. Now, having that said, it's our duty to escape this state because we managed to just gather a lot of trauma. We chose to hide behind this mask of being an introvert, of being shy and reserved, because it was safer, right? You don't get judged, you don't get rejected when you are like this, but you don't really get a lot of attention either, and you betray yourself. You betray your true emotions, your true excitement for life. You just choose to be so serious and reserved all the time, not because you want to, but because it's safer. It's unfortunate. Now, as a baby, you were charismatic, right? But as a baby, you were also unintelligent. So this is not something that we need to think about. This is not something where we need to be more intelligent and to learn more in order to be able to implement it. In fact, what we need to do is to feel more. Now, you're probably afraid of feeling. And by feeling, what I mean by feeling is just to allow yourself to flow and to show the way you're truly feeling. Because you're probably just having a social mask that you're usually putting out there, right? Most people you talk to just see the masked version of you, the version of you that's good enough to satisfy the bare minimum you have in your mind. So for example, maybe your bare minimum is saying one joke per interaction. You could never have one interaction where you don't say at least one joke because then you feel like something's off. Well, even the attacks that are directed at this mask, this fake version of you, they still hurt a bit, don't they? You probably fear showing your real self out there and just knowing that if I get rejected for this, it means I get rejected for me. That's not worth it. I could never do that. But you need to do the inner work. The inner work is basically managing your emotions, feeling all your emotions properly. Because truthfully, this is the only thing that's holding you back from being more charismatic right here, right now. You don't know how to manage your emotions, and a lot of people don't want to talk about these things. They just want tips and tricks. They want mindsets. They want knowledge. This is a great first step, a fantastic first step. But if you already understand this, it's time for you to move on to emotional management. It's time for you to do this unpleasant work that just makes the difference. This is why people just keep coping forever, because they just ignore their emotions completely. If you want to make progress, you need to feel your emotions properly. You need to go back to the traumatic events from your past and remember the way they felt and allow yourself to feel it right now, because back in the day you were just coping. If you keep coping as life goes on from now on, you will only gather more and more social trauma. You will only become more and more tense, and socializing will be only tougher and more difficult from now on. But if you work on feeling your feelings, like the more you feel them, the more they disappear. That's the beauty of it. This is the practice of letting go. There is a very good book by David Hawkins, I think. I might have butchered his name, I don't know, look it up. A book called Letting Go is basically breaking down the practice of letting go of your emotions. This is very powerful. Now, this is a very powerful practice. It's essential to make the progress, but at the same time, it's very, very difficult. And a lot of people just get confused. They don't really understand how to feel their emotions properly. So if you feel the need for assistance, I have a link in the description and you can book a call with me. I'll guide you one-on-one. I'll take you to the other side because I've been there, I've made the progress, and I've taken a few other guys with me. Now, to understand charisma better, I want to break it down in 3 components. PAF, presence, aura, fun. Charisma is just your vibe, your general vibe. It's not something practical you could implement, not something practical you're doing. So the first component is presence, is being outwardly focused instead of inwardly focused. What does that mean? It's being focused on what's happening out there, because your default behavior, your default thoughts are probably like, what do they think of me? Did I say the appropriate line? Should I have said the other joke? Am I looking good enough? Are my clothes wrinkled? Is my hair perfectly, I don't know, arranged or whatnot? You have these inner monologues that are just trying to over-optimize every single behavior you present out there. And this takes you away from the present moment. People sense when others are not present around them. You're probably able to sense this when you're talking to some people. They are just not there. You're the one doing the talking and they're just like, yeah, okay, oh, nice, nice. They are just giving these basic reactions. You can just tell they are more like in their head, not very present to the conversation. And you feel disrespected because they are not paying attention to what you're talking about. It's a lack of disrespect. What? Lack of respect, sorry. The next component is aura. Now, what I mean by aura is you need to have a magnetic aura in order to be charismatic, right? Well, when you have expectations, when you have a certain need for things to go in a certain way, you enter the opposite of that, which is an aura of neediness. The aura of neediness repels people away. So then what's the way out of this? The way to not seem needy is to not be needy and to be careless. And for this, you need to understand that, you need to have an abundance mindset. Having the scarcity mindset in your interactions, talking to other people, this only reinforces you, feeling like you're missing out on something, like you could miss or lose something. You can't have this mentality of losing something. Even if a certain interaction just goes horribly, you haven't lost anything because there was nothing to win in the first place. There are people you're just not gonna vibe with, and that's perfectly fine. You don't need to beat yourself up about that, and you don't need to have anyone around you. There is no specific person that you need around you. When you have this mentality, as I said, you are just powerful because you're careless. People are not really careless, and everyone tends to be needy, at least from time to time. If you manage to just embrace even the slight possibility of never having anyone around you, which I know might seem scary, but if you manage to do it, you are powerful. You gain the respect of others and you respect yourself, which is beautiful. The last component of this is the F for fun. Fun means being careless. Fun means being expressive, passionate, tapping into that expression of emotions you had as a baby, as I said. As a baby, you can just imagine you were laughing so nicely. You had such a mesmerizing laughter. You were just talking with passion as a little child. But then just you had this trauma on top of all of that passion, all of that emotion. And now you are unable to show it. You're probably behaving like a robot. You just say the appropriate lines every single time. You say what you know works instead of just talking with passion about the things that truly mean a lot to you. Now again, you also kind of need the appropriate social circumstances to do this. Maybe you don't have the proper friends around you, but you could just practice this. You could practice your expressiveness and your passion, even talking in front of the mirror, talking in front of the camera like I'm doing right now. You could just do these things home alone and then slightly try to implement them with baby steps in your social relationships as well. People will notice that you are more expressive. Some of your friends might think it's a bit weird, but at the same time, they will get used to it. It's nothing that's gonna last forever. Even if they point it out to you that you've changed, what's up with you? They're just gonna get used to it. You need to own yourself. This is how you tap into the authentic charisma you used to have. This is how you unleash the authentic charisma that's already in you. These are all components that make up charisma. You need to remove all those layers of lies and fears that are hiding it. You need to remove them and you need to update the way you see the world and the way you see yourself, like your self-image, right? And your perception of the world. And now you have the knowledge, you know this is the way. All that's required now is for you to do the inner work. And again, if you need my assistance, just click the link in the description, book a call with me, and I'll help you.